I'm a Dragoon from the 1830s, from 1833 until 1839. So
All right.
wearing the Dragoons were the mounted troops of the United States Army.
Okay.
From that period, the United States didn't have any mounted troops for about 20 years after the War of 1812. And they suddenly realized, well, with all this new territory, they need to have some troops that can move faster and go farther. So they raised 2 regiments of Dragoons, and we serve with distinction in the Mexican War, and after that. So I'm 1830s. This young man with the spectacular cap here is the 1850s.
All right.
We have a fellow.
Good.
We have another fellow with he's representing a Dragoon out in the field in the 1840s.
Oh, okay, but he's kind of got the field dress, whereas you guys have the dress.
Right. Yeah. This would be considered the undress uniform, like the duty uniform. But when they went out in the field, they would usually put away the fancy clothes and they would wear something that was more comfortable and practical and disposable. So over here we have a display of our weaponry. In the 1830s, I would be carrying this type of carbine. This is called a Hall's carbine. The United States was the first army in the world to adopt a breech loading weapon, and that was in the 1819 with the 1819 Hall's rifle. This is a breech loader. So I open this up. I use a cartridge, paper cartridge, tear it open, dump in the powder, drop in the ball, close it up, and then I cap it with a cap from my cap box here, which is like a little top hat looking thing, a little cylinder, like that. And then it's ready to fire. So I can load and fire this smooth bore 52 caliber carbine twice as fast as an infantryman can load his big old long musket. And it's more accurate. So there's several examples here. This is the original invention by John Hall. And this was his rifle. You can see this is the flintlock, but it works exactly the same way. Powder ball, you keep a little bit of your powder to prime it here. So you put some powder in here, close that up. This is going to have a rock in it, a piece of flint. And when you fire it, that goes forward, that knocks that back, that sends sparks into here, sets off the charge inside. But once again, I can load this twice as fast as an infantryman can load his smooth bore musket, and it's more accurate because it's a rifle. So a musket's accurate 50 yards, maybe 100 yards.
Okay.
This thing is going to be out to hundreds of yards.
Very nice.
And then this is the later model. This is what the fella in the 1840s would have been carrying. This is the model of 1843 Hall's carbine. A little nifty addition about these here. They have this attached bayonet that you can deploy like that.
Ah.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, really. It's good for skewering meat. You can also attach a jag to it for cleaning. So.
Oh, there you go. It's your built-in cleaning tool.
Yeah, that's it. It's essentially what it's really good for.
Yeah.
But the idea behind the Dragoons was, they called them Dragoons because that meant a mounted infantryman, a heavy cavalryman or heavy mounted infantryman, a soldier who could fight on foot as well as on horseback. And that's why they called us Dragoons, because they got more for their money. They got a soldier who could go and fight like an infantryman, or he could fight with his saber and his carbine and pistol on horseback.
Right. Very nice. Very cool demonstration here at Bensold Fort National Historic Site. Again, the name of the rifles and the years.
Okay, this is an 1819 Hall's rifle.
Okay.
These are 1833 Hall's carbines, and this is an 1843 Hall's carbine. There were 5 different models of it. This one saw service in the Civil War as well.
All right. Providing the tactical and weapon advantage.
Well, kind of. What it was, by the time of the Civil War, technology had changed as far as infantry weaponry. They're still using a muzzle-loading musket. It looks sort of like that long one there. But now they have a technology which allows them to use a rifle it and use a bullet, a conical bullet. So they were much more accurate, although they were still relatively slow to load. These were smooth bores. So in other words, the barrel was just a tube. But because the ball was larger than the bore diameter, it squeezed down a little bit, it made it more accurate. Then in 1861, a fellow bought up a bunch of this particular model, and he sent them out and had a shop rifle the barrel, and then ream out the chambers so that it would take a 58 caliber conical Minier ball. So you can talk to about Minier balls with the, well, really, the guy was wearing the pack with the beard. He would have been carrying a musket that used the Minier ball. So they were made about, they converted about 5,000 of these like this, and then sold them off to John Fremont, who was a commander out here on the frontier. And so they were called Fremont Halls, and this is one of those. And they saw service in the Civil War.
Very nice. Well, thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, I should talk to each one of these fellows in turn here. He's from the 1870s cavalry. There's well, he's a dragoon also from the 1850s. This gentleman here is a topographical engineer, and he has all of those amazing navigational instruments back there that are all original. And then we have a Delaware Indian and a tradesman here. We have a fellow who represents the Missouri Volunteers, who were soldiers that arrived here in 1846 at the beginning of the Civil War. Bent's Fort played a significant role in that conflict. There was an army that was sent out from Fort Leavenworth in the summer of '46. They arrived here in July, and then August 1st they crossed the river and invaded Mexico. And amongst them was mostly mounted. Most of those were volunteer soldiers, would look sort of like him, that they had horses. But there were also infantry that marched all the way from Kansas out here and then on into Mexico. Then later on, there was also a battalion of Mormon infantry volunteers that arrived here and then marched on down to Santa Fe. And those poor guys had to march all the way across the great Southwest and arrive at San Diego.
Wow. Well, thank you so much.